My name is Matt. I'm 35. I'm an architect, the elder child, the dependable one, the one who arrives with a toolkit and a ruler while others only offer ideas. I create designs for schools and modest public structures. On weekends, I repair items, door hinges, barriers, ceilings that droop during storms. Folks contact me for drips and for advice, which is unpaid work with a politer label. I'm also a father. Nora is 7. She has my determined jaw and her mother's truthfulness. When she giggles, it resembles someone rattling a container of beads. When she's silent, she's constructing something. Structures from breakfast cartons, metropolises from footwear containers, whole universes from adhesive strips. My relatives know all this. They also know my sibling, Ava, is the favored one. She's 30, employed in event promotion, possesses the grin of a regional broadcaster, and the precision of a feline pleading at mealtime. If the world were a lounge, she'd be the light fixture everyone rearranges the space for. I discovered early that in our home, assistance went one direction. When Ava required a stage constructed for a temporary event, or a surface recoated, or a careless partner's plaster mishap fixed prior to a property check, guess who appeared with protective sheets? Me. When I required anything beyond a well done, the space grew hushed. 2 years back, I relocated to the secondary dwelling behind my parents' residence, while I restored my finances following a medical issue with Nora. It wasn't charity. I renovated it completely, installed fresh wiring, straightened the surfaces, added appropriate exit openings. I covered the supplies. My parents labeled it short-term. I noticed the hesitation after that term. The trap didn't engage until a weekend meal in early spring. We were in my parents' cooking area. The surface smelled like citrus polish and baked poultry. My mom was arranging vegetables, as if performing for a culinary program. My dad was slicing poorly. Ava twirled her drink and remarked, nonchalant as a wish, "So you're still in the secondary house?" "Yes," I replied, "until I finalize a purchase. Costs are ridiculous." She angled her head. "It's somewhat ideal there, like beginner residence ideal." I chuckled, since that's what you do when avoiding conflict. "For whom?" "For me," she stated as if it was obvious. "I mean, it's small but charming. I'm approaching 31. It's time to possess property." My dad continued slicing. My mom continued arranging. Nobody glanced at me. Nora tugged my arm. "Daddy?" "Yes, little one. Can I have the leg you don't like?" "Take both," I said, because abruptly I lost my appetite. Ava raised a shoulder. "It would benefit the family, you know, to have me established at last." My mom uttered it as if sampling the notion. It would be pleasant to see Ava in her own space. There was a noise then, not a bang, not a yell, just the subtle snap in my mind when an element aligns in a blueprint. You recognize the noise. It's the one that indicates, oh, that's the situation. I pierced the baked poultry exterior with the rear of my utensil and didn't consume it. I gazed at my parents. I gazed at Ava. I remained silent, not immediately. But that was the initial fracture. You don't create ceilings without spotting drips. You don't mature as the less favored offspring without detecting the scheme before they voice it. That evening, after I settled Nora and she slid her device beneath her cushion like a journal, she inquired, eyes wide in the shadows, "Are we relocating?" "We're fine," I said, "rest now." And I believed it. I thought so. Until the following segment began composing itself without my input. The tale didn't start in a legal chamber. It started with the typical gradual trickle. "Matt, can you pick up drinks after your shift?" my mom messaged. I arrived at the spot near the workplace, still in footwear and a protective jacket dotted with wall material. She had a binder. "Why do guardians believe a binder makes unpleasant updates appear official?" "We've been discussing," she said. "Ah," I responded, "your father and I believe it's time to formalize matters with the secondary house." "Formalize how?" She took the refined drink. "Ava has been accumulating funds." I blinked. For an initial payment. "On the small structure I'm presently occupying. On her initial residence," she said, like chanting a spell. "It's crucial for young females to accumulate assets." "I agree," I said. "She should acquire a property. She desires that property." My mom said, the binder tidy and waiting under her palm. I inhaled. "I'm not a decoration. You don't shift me like artwork." "Don't exaggerate," she said. "I'm not. I'm an architect. I'm being precise." She slid the binder over the surface. Inside, comparisons. A basic outline of the boundary like a youngster's adventure guide. And something that appeared oddly like a prepared family rental contract. With my name faded away. "Mom, just review it." The contract stated 90 days. It stated donation and family assets and inheritance. It sounded like a greeting card, and a removal notice produced offspring. I'm not boastful of this, but I chuckled, not cruel. Just that exhausted, incredulous chuckle you make when a plant you nurtured reveals its ornamental. "I can't manage 90 days, I said. "Nora's education, the transport path, the timetable. It would be beneficial for her to learn adaptability," my mom said. "I'll continue covering rent," Ava interjected a week later, at the meal, revisiting the subject like a feline to a cozy area. "I'll even be a fun aunt nearby." "You haven't covered rent here since university," I said. She dismissed with her eyes. "That's not the issue. The issue," it emerged, was a storyline. Ava possessed one. My parents accepted it. Then arrived the documents. Not from a binder at a spot, but verified delivery. Green slip you must acknowledge like receiving a hazard. Complainants, it stated at the beginning. My parents' identities. Respondent, it stated. Mine. I stood on my small entrance and reviewed the terms thrice while the delivery person feigned interest in the climate. "Daddy," Nora said, resting on my leg. Why are you making your pondering expression? Because adults are acting foolish, I said, which is how you describe harshness when you can't clarify it to a young student. The grievance was presented as reasoning: intruder, illegal occupancy, permission withdrawal. It claimed that my residence was always allowed, that it had concluded, that I declined to depart, that my existence disrupted the logical anticipation of complainant Ava to possess her initial residence. They employed those terms, possess her initial residence, in an official record, like an aspiration required enforcement now. I contacted my dad. You filed against me. We didn't file against you, he said. The attorney handled the forms. So you employed an attorney to file against me. It's not individual. You specifically noted my name. It's simply time, he said. Ava requires security. And Nora requires what? I inquired. A bag. Quiet. Then the noise of a screen elsewhere, the comedy audio. Selecting positions. I desired to fury. I didn't. I became pragmatic. It's how my mind handles. I captured images. I gathered messages. I outputted payment records from my account. Electronic transfer remarks that read secondary house. April, heating, water, padding. I located the message from 2 seasons ago where my mom composed, "We truly value you handling the fees on the annex this year." I noted every occasion I'd address their dripping primary ceiling, their frozen buildup, their faulty drainage pump, not as tools, as recollection, because when individuals alter the narrative, documents don't. When I left Nora at class, she gripped my hand firmly. "We don't have to relocate, right? Not if I can prevent it, and you can prevent it," she stated with complete trust. "I'm going to attempt." That evening I contacted my former partner, Jess. "Brief matter," I said, attempting to seem ordinary. "My parents delivered papers to me, like with food, like with a legal action." There was a prolonged exhale on the connection. "Do I need to take Nora additional evenings while you resolve it?" "Perhaps," I said. "But can I request something?" "Sure. If this proceeds to hearing, don't include her unless a magistrate requests." "I don't want her in that setting." "Naturally not," Jess said. Then, gentler, "I'm regretful." "Me too." The following weeks were harsh. Collective messages from kin. Family is paramount. Ava merits an opportunity. It's merely equitable. Evidently equity now signified packing a child's artwork into storage containers, because a 30-year-old desired a social media note about ownership. The harshest aspect wasn't the documents. It was the minor details. My mom ceased leaving remnants at my entrance. My dad ceased feigning to inspect my heating system. Ava ceased using courtesy. Every encounter, she'd linger in my entrance like an agent. I could install suspended racks, she pondered once. Gaze tracing paths across my surface like a precision tool. Perhaps color this masonry. "Ava," I said. "What?" "Blameless." Rehearsed. "This is my residence." She grinned without warmth, for the moment. At night, when the dwelling was silent and the heaters ticked like they were tallying, I gazed at the overhead and practiced serene phrases. Because if I appeared furious, I'd be the issue. If I appeared stable, perhaps the facts would settle too. One aspect of being an architect, you learn to interpret weights. Some barriers are supportive, some are ornamental. I couldn't determine yet which my parents were, but the hearing date arrived. It always does. The legal chamber was tinier than media depicts. Neutral walls, weary banners, a timepiece that attempted and failed to maintain pace. The magistrate was mid-50s with compassionate gaze that didn't tolerate nonsense. The officer moved like a rhythm device. Ava wore a pale jacket like she just advanced in a publication. My parents sat side by side like a seat was a rescue craft. Just sat behind me because she's a superior person than I merit. Nora was with her, device in her bag, headphones like a tiny weight, docket number, the assistant recited. The attorney my parents engaged rose first. He spoke in composed, costly phrases. Allowed usage, cancellation, client's entitlement to peaceful possession, daughter's initial chance at property ownership. He said it like a lecture. Initial home, he kept repeating it. When it was my opportunity, I rose. My mouth felt like powder, but architects deliver to committees. We learned to summarize. "I'm not an intruder," I said. "I'm their offspring. I've covered services, fees on the annex, dispatched rent monthly. I refurbished the building at my cost with their approval. I have proofs." I placed the binder down. Documents produced a noise. Facts have a noise. "They want to remove me so my sibling can have it as her initial home," I said. "That's their expression. But there's additional here. There's a habit of me funding the structure while they handle it like a plaything to distribute." The magistrate raised a hand. "This isn't minor disputes with emotions," she said, but not harshly. "I need specifics." Comprehended. We examined images, messages, the lone message from my mom. "Thank you for handling fees again. We'll reimburse you," which naturally never occurred. The payment labels, even the authorizations my dad requested me to obtain. "Because your identity gets quicker approvals." Which is false, but he thought it. The attorney attempted to protest. "Unrelated." The magistrate shook her head. "Habit is related in fairness." Then Ava spoke. "I'm not the antagonist," she said, tone polished. "I've been accumulating. I merit what every female merits, a secure residence." "You do?" I said softly. "It just doesn't need to be mine." She gazed at me like I'd spoiled a gathering. My dad eventually intervened, his turn to be vocal. "He was always just remaining until he organized himself," he said. "I've had myself organized for a decade," I said. "You just didn't appreciate the storyline." "Sufficient," the magistrate said. "I have what I require." Then it occurred. A tiny hand pulled Jess's arm. It was Nora, who had been sketching quietly. She murmured something. Jess shook her head. Nora rose anyway. Young children rise like a flash. Everyone observes. Your Honor, Nora said, tone high but firm. Can I display something Daddy doesn't know? The legal chamber became very motionless. The magistrate eased. Who are you? I'm Nora, she said. I'm 7. The magistrate glanced at me. I nodded once. You may, the magistrate said cautiously. Nora approached the front, retrieved her device from her bag like a hidden item. It's a recording, she said. From our monitor, I learned how to store it. She added like this was presentation time. The magistrate accepted the device from the officer like she was managing proof, which she was. Where's this from? She asked. The day Aunt Ava visited when Daddy was at work, Nora said. She instructed me not to inform, but I had to. The recording covered the display, our sitting area, afternoon glow, the date mark at the top, the entrance opening, my mom and Ava entering while I was absent, my mom sorting correspondence, Ava proceeding to the kitchen and removing the power source from the smoke alarm. Her digits swift like she'd performed it previously. Don't handle that, my mom said in the recording, but not like a regulation. Like a rehearsal. Calm down, Ava said, grinning. If the checker rejects him, he'll have to vacate. It's quicker. My mother didn't dispute. She raised a pile of sketches from my workspace and said, we'll just claim we thought they were outdated. On the recording, Nora's tone emerged from the steps. Hi, Aunt. Ava turned quickly. The facade didn't falter. Hey, little one. Confidential. Don't inform Daddy we were here. It's a surprise. What type? The small Nora inquired. The type that's beneficial for the family, my mom said. On the device, the recording continued, Ava proceeding to the electrical board. Which one is heating? She whispered. In cold season we can't, my mom began. Not now, Ava said. Later, we'll be clever. The sound was distinct. The expressions were clearer. I didn't know whether to appreciate my child or feel ill. The magistrate viewed the whole segment. She returned the device. The space was seething and chilled simultaneously. She turned to my parents. Do you wish to speak? My mom's mouth parted. Shut, we didn't intend. The magistrate raised a digit. Here's what we're not going to do, she said. We're not going to feign this is about a young female's advancement when I have a recording of a planned effort to tamper with protection gear and influence an examination to create a breach. Her tone became soft. Soft is worse than a cry. You requested fairness from me. Fairness is integrity. My dad attempted a final effort. He's unappreciative. This isn't about appreciation, I said, composed in a manner that felt loaned. This isn't about retaliation. This is about resolution. The magistrate nodded like the phrases registered. Request rejected, she said, sharp. Complaint dismissed permanently. I'm also issuing a directive prohibiting complainants from accessing respondents' dwelling without clear agreement, and I'm forwarding this to the residential agency for evaluation concerning attempted meddling with protection mechanisms. She looked at Nora. You did the correct thing. Nora blinked. Are we relocating? Not today, the magistrate said. Then to me, gentler, change your locks. In the rear seating, a kin produced a noise like a band breaking. It was finished. And it wasn't. Information spreads in families like vapor through barriers. It locates every gap and remains. By the time we reached residence, 3 relatives had messaged inquiries, and 1 relative had forwarded me a resource titled, 10 Methods to be Less Self-Centered. Jess embraced Nora on the entrance. Champion, she whispered. Nora dismissed like she'd just stayed within boundaries. Inside, I sat on the sofa and gazed at the smoke alarm. Whole, power in. I activated the switch just to hear it alert. The first ignored call was my mom, then my dad, then Ava, then a contact I didn't identify that proved to be my mom again from the fixed line. Because remorse always requires various paths. I didn't respond. Quiet is a limit that doesn't require emphasis. Instead, I requested fresh locks. I scheduled a wiring specialist, someone besides myself. I messaged our housing legal expert to inquire about a document, a boundary that said cease. At rest time, Nora climbed into my lap. Did I cause you problems? She inquired. You resolved our problems, I said. Are grandparents upset with me? They're upset with the recording, I said. And the recording is accurate. She pondered, then agreed. Truth is like restraints, she said. Irritating but essential. I chuckled for the first time in days. Precisely. The next day, my dad appeared on the path like a weather system. He didn't advance to the entrance. The restriction document had already been delivered. He extended his hands, palms forward like, how did this occur? You shamed us, he said. In a setting you selected, I said. He overlooked that. Your mother is distressed over this. She's not distressed, I said. She's frustrated she didn't achieve her desire. He shifted on his feet. We were attempting to assist your sibling. I know, I said. You always are. He gazed beyond me into the sitting area like he could erase the device. She's the youngest, he said, as if that were a lawful principle. Then purchase her a bed, I said. Stop requesting me to be the support. He recoiled, perhaps at the pitch, perhaps at the comparison. I didn't say it to be smart. I said it because it was factual. For a week, we existed in an odd silence. No casual, we're preparing pasta, join us. No, are you available weekend? The barrier requires you. I began to notice how much of my schedule had been constructed from others' demands. Entire weekends cleared like vacant spaces. I took Nora to the water. We constructed a crossing from floating timber in the close of warm season. I prepared flat cakes poorly, and she consumed them like they were ideal. I passed by property viewings and did not provide my details. I assessed the small sleeping area and sketched Nora a raised bed with levels that served as storage. When she viewed the outline, she inhaled like she'd found a fresh shade. We assembled it together, 2 tools like weapons. Then the communications altered tone. My mom messaged. We reacted excessively. Let's discuss. Ava sent a section about how she'd been under such strain. My dad composed. Family is complicated, which is what individuals say just before they request you to tidy. I didn't reply. Quiet is a boundary that doesn't need marks. Instead, I composed my own document. Not official, individual, one sheet. I outputted it and placed it in their post box because I wanted the drop to matter. Mom, Dad, and Ava, it started. I care for you. That hasn't altered. What has altered is entry. You don't receive access anymore. You don't get to dictate my schedules. You don't get to enter my residence because you decided it's yours. We won't attend weekend meals for some time. If we converse later, it will be in a counselor's space with guidelines. If you share about me, don't. If you arrive here, don't. If you contact Nora to clarify, don't. This is not payback. This is resolution. We are not relocating. We are not arguing. We are constructing our existence. I signed it. Not affection, just my name. I anticipated fury. I got redirection. Individuals accustomed to you yielding don't accept firm boundaries. They attempt fresh approaches. Ava shared an image of a lock on social media with the note property owner feelings and a site mark at an apartment complex nearby. The responses were filled with celebrations. My mom contacted 3 days later feigning to inspect my heating again. You know we were only considering Nora, she said. Kids need outdoor space. She has one, I said. It's 20 paces from our entrance. But Mom, I said softly. Cease, she exhaled. Well, if you won't pardon us. I pardon you, I said. I just don't reside beneath you. That earned me a disconnection. My dad followed with a message. We're revising our estate plans. I placed my device screen down and proceeded outlining Nora's raised bed components on wood. On the 4th weekend, I encountered Ava at the market. She did the polite partial grin. We should converse, she said. We are, I said. You know I didn't intend to harm Nora. You instructed a 7-year-old to maintain a confidential, I said. You removed a protection item. You intended to achieve an outcome. You achieved one. Her expression stiffened. You always portray me as the wrongdoer. You assigned yourself, I said. She advanced nearer, then glanced at the passage monitor and retreated. Okay, she said. Enjoy your tiny cottage. I looked at the container in my grip. Dairy, eggs, sweet syrup, fasteners. I will, I said. After the purchases, I drove to a key maker. I handed the person my old locks and my fresh determination. We had an incident, I said. He agreed like he hears that daily. Maybe he does. While he shaped keys, he said, You're the architect who handled the library expansion, right? Yeah, my child adores that reading corner, he said. Feels secure. Secure, that term. Individuals think security is locks and power sources and regulations. It is, but it's also a steady tone, a decision not to respond to a contact. A document that says no. At night when the fresh locks engaged, the entire secondary house felt altered. Not larger, not more elaborate, just mine. Nora attached a notice on the entrance in rounded script. Home, then beneath it tinier, and no hidden visits. I didn't request her to compose it. I didn't need to. She was constructing too. I can identify the day the resentment departed. Not the rejection, not the fresh locks. Not instructing my mom to stop using outdoor space, like an ethical condition. 2 months later, a weekday, I was planning a school upgrade, pursuing cold season glow across a space, when Jess forwarded an image. Nora on the transport, missing teeth, approval sign. 3 words beneath it. She's fine, Dad. Something released. The part that kept scanning for the next message didn't vanish. It just ceased controlling. Individuals desire payback stories. This isn't that. It's an electrical plan, a completed record, me outlining accurate paths. I still encounter my parents. At a relative's event, I remain by the beverage station. Mom attempted humor. I responded what was important and shifted when the familiar pulls drew. Dad attempted sports chatter. We were in a space with pale decorations and a future that didn't require me. Ava acquired an apartment, shared the wall covering, labeled herself a female who can manage both after placing a cloth holder. Good for her. I don't require recognition and I don't require an invitation. Weekends, Nora and I construct. We created a wooden bird station and placed it where we can observe it. Reading place after. Security is a location you select. Sometimes Mom messages counsel. I respond with a facility and a time. Sometimes they attend. I repeat the phrase because the entrance keeps shifting ajar. I care for you. You don't get access. The legal directive remains in a transparent cover. Documents are recollection. On uncertain days, I activate Nora's recording. 15 minutes duration. The teaching is lengthier. If the individuals who nurtured you will disable your warnings to preserve their narrative, become your own warning. This isn't about payback. I informed the magistrate. Still accurate. It's about Nora reciting where commitments don't conceal threats. It's about not being a surface you attach items to. Limits aren't cruelty, they're protections. Resolution isn't a crash, it's the engagement of a lock. The hum of a cutter when the slice aligns. The drop of a document in a post box. A message that reads, she's fine. Perhaps my parents never truly comprehend it. Perhaps Ava never apologizes without a however. What I know. When I settle Nora, she keeps her device near because she desires it, not to conceal something for a grown-up. My name is Matt, architect. I position illumination where it fits. I used to be a service conduit. Now I reside where warnings function. Windows release smoothly, and the individual with the access knows how to employ it. No one gets to transform my existence into their initial residence. No one instructs my child to maintain secrets. Family won't be the injury. I'm finished being reorganized. I construct, I safeguard, I remain composed when individuals reveal themselves. I state the facts, even when it engages softly. I'm not relocating, not like that. Do I regret allowing Nora to speak? No, she stated the small, precise facts. That's design. 2. Assess twice. Slice once. Don't conceal the weight. We're fine, more than fine, we're residents.